Hey everybody, welcome back to Minibike Mike's Garage. So we're on to video number 2 on this Honda XL70. And before we really dive into it today, I've got a couple things I need to back up and take care of a little bit of business. One, in video number 1, I made a mistake when I referred to these little pads that are right here on the back of the frame. In that video, I made a comment that that's where the turn signals mount. And as soon as I posted the video and I rewatched it myself, I knew that was wrong. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess because that's where I'm going to mount the turn signals is what I was thinking, but I don't know. I was wrong. There's actually like a grab bar that mounts onto the back of these XL70s, and it mounted on the shock post, and then it mounted right here, and then the turn signal was actually mounted to that grab bar. I apologize for handing out some bad information there, but those are not turn signal mounts, but they will be turn signal mounts on this bike. The other thing that came up in the comments, subscriber John questioned the foot pegs. I had made a comment that how nice these foot pegs were for a bike that had 3,800 miles. Most of the time the rubber's all torn and missing or whatever, and these looked almost brand new, like they've been replaced. And John questioned whether or not this particular model had the rubber foot pegs, and I really wasn't sure. I'm not a XL70 expert, but so I actually went back to Patrick Wells's video, Southeast Vintage Cycle Rescue, and Patrick recently did one of these bikes, and his K0 XL70 also had rubber pegs. So I'm assuming these are correct. Now, if you can see the green XL70 behind me, it does have the steel foot pegs, and it is 2 models after this one. This is a K0, there's a K1, and then there's a K2. The K2 has the steel pegs. I don't know if the K1 has rubber or steel because I don't have one of those to check. So anyway, just wanted to touch on that. And then the last thing I need to say is an apology. As you can see, I've moved forward on the bike. It's got new rubber on it and so forth. And I filmed all of it and had, I had this big idea in my mind that I wanted to improve my videos. And so I was using a Bluetooth microphone. And I got the video, but none of the audio worked. Apparently, it worked for a very short period of time, and then I don't know if I went quiet for it shut off or the battery went dead. I don't know, but anyway, all that footage did not have any audio with it. And then I tried to do a voiceover, and that didn't look right. And so I put new tires and bolted them on. You guys have seen that. You don't need to see it again. So. I apologize about that. But so today's video, I want to ride this bike. We're pretty daggone close now with the tires and stuff on. The tank, we need to look at the tank and kind of clean it out and check that Petcock. If you watch the very first video, the Petcock's locked tight. I can't turn it, so I'm going to take it apart, lubricate that, see if we can get it to work without leaking too bad. And then we also need to address the throttle. This one, the throttle doesn't, I thought I kind of played with it in video 1, but it doesn't really, the cable never moves. So I don't know what's going on in here. I really want to retain this whole setup, so I'm hoping just a new cable will get the job done. But so that's what we're going to do first, and then depending on how long that takes, we may tackle some of the lighting. But we got to get a throttle and a tank on it, and then put the seat on it so we can take it for a ride. All right, before we jump up onto the tank and the throttle, I thought I would just kind of go over these rims and tires real quickly. As you can see, I dropped the sprocket down. This originally had, what was it, a 45 or 47 tooth, and I dropped it to a 38 up here. We'll see how that goes. I left the stock front sprocket on it, but I did drop this down. A lot of times they're just geared so low that, I was looking for a little more high-end speed. I did put this new tire on it. I had a hard time, there it is. I had a hard time finding the original size. The original size was a 275/14, and I looked all over, and maybe I'm just looking in the wrong place, but I never did find it. I bought this off of Amazon. It's a 90/10/14, which I think is equivalent to a 3x14, which is a tad bit wider. So I had an issue. I gotta get here in the right spot. I had an issue with the brake stay, and I actually had to make a different one. I'm talking about this piece right here. The original one is just a straight kind of round tube with then flattened on each end to bolts. And the extra width of this tire caused it to rub up in here. And so I took a flat bar and I put a couple little dog leg 45 degrees on it and kind of kicked it over, so enough that it still clears the exhaust, but then now it clears the tire and doesn't rub. So I did have to do that. The other thing I did back here, when I took it all apart, these tabs, one of these tabs, well, both of them were bent over, and when I went to straighten these up, I actually broke one. Didn't break it completely off, but I cracked it. So I had to re-weld this little tab here. So that's some of the, catch you up on some of the things that I did while I had the back tire off. And then I put a new tire on the front, and I was able to find the correct size, which was a 250/16 for the front. I don't know why they put this red paint on it. They did it on the back too. It's got red and green. But I think I bought both of these off of Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. And so while I had this one off, they both have new tubes. And while I had this one off, I went through the brake plate. I had to pull the pin. This was all locked tight and wouldn't work. And so the speedometer gear had, the tabs on it were nice and straight, so it was all good. I actually think I pulled the original tire off of the front of that. I don't think that had ever been off there, quite honestly. So, but it got the front brake all working correctly, and the speedometer seems to work. So now, all right. So now we'll move back up to the throttle. So I've got a new cable. It does not mark how long it is. I'm not sure. Hopefully, it's a similar length. It's a little bit longer than the stock, but I think we'll get it to work. What did I do with my screwdriver? So, oh boy. Hopefully we can change this without having to take the entire thing off. It almost sounds like, or feels like that the cable has come loose from the throttle tube here or something. No, it's in there. Huh? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know it's in there correctly, because it just didn't feel like it was pulling on the cable. So anyway, there we go. So there's that off. We need to see if we can unscrew the cable here. Oh yeah, no, the cable, something is probably, the cable's frayed up inside it. Yeah, it doesn't want to move very freely, that's for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely, let's start fresh there. Well, So the bottom piece has a little locating pin that goes up in the handlebar. I got to get the throttle tube in there first. There it popped up into that handlebar. Then you can put that down on there. Now we're good. All right. And that little locating pin is just so that you just, when you crank the throttle, you don't turn the whole thing. Oh yeah, much better. Much better. Okay, so I've got to route that and get it down here onto the carburetor and take off this other throttle that I temporarily put on the other side. So the original cable has this little rubber black piece right here that I'm going to try and remove that. Just pulls off the end of the cable. See if I can get it to slide up on this. Oh yeah. Perfect. And I'll show you here in a second why I wanted that. Oh yeah, that fits in there. That's nice. The spring. And then the slide. And I wanted that because that slides down over this connection there, just to kind of give it a little finished look. Okay, this cable's a little longer than what I would have liked to put on there, but I didn't have anything else that was any closer in length. Okay. Slide that down onto the carb cap. Now. Oh yeah, we're in business now. So after we get the tank on it, we'll have to figure out what we're going to do with this extra length of cable. But all right, let's move on to the tank and see what kind of mess we're going to get into there. Well, if my memory serves me right from the first video, this tank was kind of dusty. Yes, it's got some, yeah, it's got a little bit of stuff in it. It doesn't look horrible. I think we'll try and take the Petcock off, put some fuel in it, and then see if we can kind of flush it that way. But the problem is this Petcock, it doesn't move at all. I hate cracking these things open because boy, you never get them to not leak again. Well, I forgot to, I'm gonna grab a needle nose pliers. Hang on just a second. There's a little screen filter. Let me see what you guys, see if I can zoom you in maybe a little bit more. Actually, you know, I'm going to get a pick because there is a little rubber O-ring, a little sealing ring that sits on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, that I might want to get out first. Try and go around and get underneath it and loosen it here to, yeah, if we just would have went yanking on that screen, we'd have tore the screen up and probably that. So now Oh, no, there it came. I was just curious to say, we're probably going to tear the screen up anyway. Ooh, I don't know if anything's going to go through that or not. We may hit that with a little toothbrush or something, see if we can clean it out. And then once you get that all out, there is a screw down inside here. Is. Yeah, it's kind of crusty. It's had some old fuel sitting in it, that's for sure. We'll address the tank in a second. Let's see if I got the right size screwdriver. If I need to get a different. Oh no, no. I think I can get it. There. All right. Yeah, well, there's a little groove on the back of here, and as you move it, it lines up with the holes in in this that are pretty plugged. Come on, focus on it. But anyway, so I've got to take this and see if I can't clean out all this old varnished fuel and so forth. And I'm going to spend a minute, see if I can't clean it up, get it to where it'll turn and do the things it's supposed to do. All right, but you guys have never taken one of these apart. What you've got is my lighting. I'm not in the best lighting here. There's a pin, that top left, and that holds a little rubber washer in place. And then those other three holes, the top right and the bottom left, are the holes that let the fuel in. And then the bottom right, as the fuel comes in one of those other two holes, it goes out in through that hole and then fills up the bowl and then out through the petcock, okay? So for example, this tube right here is for the regular setting or the on setting. That picks up the fuel higher in the tank. And then as you switch to reserve, it's this hole right here. And I'll kind of show you. So what I had to do was I had to clean these out without spraying my camera. See, all right, so the reserve comes out that top right hole. This hole right here. And the on setting, so if I put it in this bottom left, you should see it shoot out that tube. Well, let me go out the tube and then come the other way. Maybe I can get it in there. Oh, it's still kind of plugged a little bit, but it's coming out that bottom left. Looks like it's also got a split in it, but anyway, so I'll work on cleaning out a little bit more, but this is the piece that fits in there like that. And like I say, it fits over that top left as just a pin to keep that from spinning inside there. And then the lever has got this groove in it. And so depending on where you have it turned, it connects any two, either the top one and the bottom one here, or the two bottom ones, depending on if you have it set on reserve or regular. So, all right, kind of an explanation of how that works. So I'll finish cleaning that up and put it back together, then we'll go to fleshing out the tank. Unfortunately, I could not save the screen on that. It had disintegrated almost to nothing. So I wound up taking the whole screen out because I want to use this because this whole setup has been put together this way for all those years. I don't want to change the thick. I want to make sure I go back together with the same thickness, if that makes sense. All right, so I went and took some fuel and filled the tank and sloshed it all around and hopefully I kind of got it cleaned out enough that we won't have too many issues. Now, of course, we don't have a filter anymore on this thing, so it'd probably be nice to put an inline filter, but I don't know that I have one, so it won't get one today. All right, like I was saying, on this, mine doesn't make any difference because I don't have a filter. It doesn't have any kind of screen, but it fits in there. About right there, over top of that hole. And the chances of all this leaking is going to be pretty high. I never have much luck taking these apart and actually getting them to work right. But hey, now we've got a Petcock that will move, and it looks like that is off, up and down is on, and maybe in is reserve, I think. There's no arrow on this thing, but I've got a feeling it's the way this points. So, all right, let's put it on the bike, find some fuel line, throw some fuel in it, and we'll see how bad it leaks. I got the tank on. Let's put some fuel line on this thing. Sorry, I'm probably blocking the camera. Maybe a little long, isn't it? Tell you what, I'm actually going to pull that back off of the carburetor so that we can see if it's actually going to come out when we put fuel in it. Let's drop some fuel in it. See how much of this we waste because it's going to leak and we got to take it all back apart. I'm not seeing it yet, are you guys? Well, that certainly ought to be enough fuel. Yeah. Hey, is it not leaking? Holy cow. Well, let's see. I don't see any leaks. Let's see what this does. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit. Nope. And I felt a few drips too. Oh, there we go. Reserve is working. On doesn't seem to be. Will it shut off? It does shut off. Well, I thought it shut off. All right, does the reserve work? Yeah, I think reserve will work. So that's good enough for me for right now. All right, let that fill up. See if the carburetor's gonna leak. It didn't leak before. Don't know why it should. right, I'm gonna throw the seat on it and then clean up this mess that I got on the table so we can let it down. I have not fired this since the first video, and that was well over a week ago. So let me put the seat on it, let it down, and let's see if it'll fire up and see if my tires are still holding air. They are. Let's see if we can take it for its first ride since we've owned it anyway. Well, what do you say we see if it'll fire up? Yeah, it's probably gonna need a new Petcock at some point. That one's, I'm not so sure that one's any good. And I don't think I've ever started this from the kickstart. I've always just used a drill. So let's see how this works. Oh. You're running a little bike. One down, three up. Yep. I didn't hit neutral. All right, let's take it outside and run around the parking lot and shift it through the gears and make sure everything there is okay. And then maybe we can start tackling some of the lights and aesthetics of the thing. I need to reroute maybe this cable and do some other things like that. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. Awesome. Let's take it for a ride. Well, it's raining again here today. Kind of misty and sprinkling. Shift through all four gears. Oh, the speedometer was even working. I'm going to check that again. Yeah, speedometer seems to work. Fell off. I think I kicked up a rock in that new tire. Heard something clang back there. I'm gonna run it down the street and see if make sure fourth gear works just fine. Through all the gears really nice. Easy to run a little bike. tricky to find neutral. There, I got it. Let's adjust that idle a little bit. Oh, that's good. Well, where's the on-off switch works? Nope. Nope, kinda. It's just the contact needs to be cleaned up. It kind of worked. All right, let's throw it back up on the table. I'll look at a couple other things. All right, guys, that was a pretty successful first ride. I'm very, very happy with it. Might need a little tweaking here and there, but it seemed to come into it pretty well and run pretty nice. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to finish this bike today. I'm realizing that I am missing some parts that I need up on the front end to finish the electrical. But I do have some stuff for the back end here, and I went ahead and thought, you know what, we'll throw this on the video and get it put here, and then we can finish the bike up with all the electrical and hopefully have it all done in the very last video. So I'm going to take the seat back off, maybe, if the bike doesn't fall over. I'm going to take a second and put my stand back under it so it's not doing this number. All right, we're a little more secure, not worried about the bike falling over. So one of the things, a part that's hard to find on these bikes, both the SL and the XL70, are the taillight brackets. And when you do find them, they're rather expensive. This particular bike does not have it, nor does it have any of the turn signals. So I kind of like to go ahead and outfit it with all that, try and get everything to work that I can. Will it all be original? No, but it will look complete. And if somebody wants to do something with the bike down the road, get a title, at least maybe it'll have working lights. So like I said, the tail light is almost impossible to find, but I have found that if you pick up an old CB350 or a CL360 tail light, the bracket is close enough that you can get it to work. The mounting bolts up here are actually the same spread as this part here. Let me back up just for a second. The original tail light mounted here and these two holes that are here on the end of the fender. All right, this light is, we're going to utilize the two holes up here and the two at the bottom. Now, this up here is pretty much just a bolt on. No problem at all. This, I had to, I'll bring you in, I had to kind of open up the holes. I didn't want to mess with the fender. I did not want to alter it at all. This, I didn't care about tearing it up and cutting new holes or whatever. So I've cut some openings that will allow me to bolt that tail light onto that fender. So I'm going to bring you in closer and show you what I did. Now, in this particular video, we're not going to wire up these lights. I'm just going to install them, show you what I'm using, what parts I'm using, and then in the final video, video number 3, when I have all the other parts accumulated, put together, then we'll come back through and do one last video where we wire it and finish up the bike. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out these two mounting bolts right here. And you're going to save those because you're going to reuse those bolts. And I'm going to loosen this one just so that it has a little bit of play. Now, this is that CB350 or CL360 tail light. And yes, the tail light itself is way too big for what was stock on the bike, but it is similar to like a K1 CT70. It's the same tail light they used and so forth. So it will look somewhat correct on the bike. So I did have to make a couple modifications. You can see right here, this kind of stuck out a little bit farther. I had to grind and create some clearance here to fit around the bracket up here. And then at the bottom, you can tell where I've just notched out the holes, and boy, they're ugly. I'm looking right here. but they'll get covered with washers. And you could actually, I thought about welding in a washer on top of there to make that look a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I grabbed a couple little bit longer bolts to put back down in here. And like I said, it just, same bolt pattern, it bolts right on. Then I'm going to take, no, that's not, okay, I forgot to grab a couple other longer bolts. Give me just 1 second. First, I want to just bring you in and show you that the original holes in the fender and the original holes in the bracket wouldn't have quite lined up. So I just kind of hacked them out enough that I could see the holes. And then I've grabbed just some washers and bolts, and we're going to put those there like that. Put some washers and nuts on the back side, tighten that down. All right, there you go. No one's the wiser. Most people wouldn't even know that that's not the tail light that's supposed to be on that bike. All right, now let's look at the turn signals. So, like I said, I'm going to utilize these little brackets right here that are on the frame where that frame, the grab bar. I don't have an original grab bar. So what I've done is I've cut out some little brackets, these dudes right here, and I'm going to take the bolts, the shorter bolts that I took out of the tail light, and use those to mount these brackets on here. And then I've got these Amazon turn signals that we will put through those holes. And there it is. There's a little sneak preview of the back end of this XL70. One of the things I have to get is some new 6-volt bulbs for the turn signals. These Amazon turn signals come with 12-volt bulbs in them, so that's one thing I don't have yet. All the wiring was underneath the seat from the original wiring harness, so I just need to plug all that stuff in. Ah, shoot. I'm going to hook that back up. So I'll just have to plug that in. I need to lengthen the wiring on the tail light, but we'll save that for the last video. And then we're going to do something similar up front. We're actually going to put some turn signals in here and put a new 12, well, not new 12 volt, new 6 volt headlight. The only thing I'll be missing is this side cases. I don't have any of these plastic side cases, which is unfortunate, but I just don't have them. And then we've got to work up a turn signal switch, so up here. But I'll probably do something. I'll show you what I'm going to do there in the next video. I'll do something similar I did on the SL70, and then it will look pretty good. So anyway, I'm rambling. I'll let you guys go. I will see you in a few days on the last video when I get the last parts and we can finish up the wiring on this bike. Appreciate you guys all following, commenting. See you on the next video.